Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
The following video is a rant by a delusional racist Trump-loving retard. A man so brutally stupid he is incapable of even basic self-awareness. This mental midget will screech for hours about how he is simultaneously the master race, and yet he is so pathetic and victimized that every bad decision in his life was a capricious conspiracy. If you do not want to endure the abject stupidity of white trash in America, I don't blame you.
Hey, I'll tell you what, Jaymee.
And then because you just block him.
Hey,
dude,
if it was only that easy. Yeah.
So funny.
He must have 1,000 fucking accounts.
Gosh, how do you even
Hey,
do
but
I'll tell you offline.
Yeah, I wanted to ask Mr. P because he seems in tune. Actually, Jaymee, I'm glad you're here. About what's going on. We can go into a little bit about what's going on in the Middle East and stuff like that. I kind of tuned in a little bit, watched a little bit before I went live. Man, I don't know, man. You can take it from here, bro. What's going on over there?
I'm not the most in tune. As a matter of fact, I wish Cindy was here because, believe it or not, she's got a screen open at all times with 4 different camera angles on both sides of the conflict.
Oh, really?
Live streaming, like 24/7.
Who's that?
Apparently, there's a guy that put up these cameras.
Cindy Renee.
Oh, Cindy Renee?
Yeah,
Oh,
she's
really?
very into watching the conflict.
Oh, where is she? I haven't seen her in a minute, actually.
Yeah.
I'd love to know more.
Well,
I mean,
apparently
the last
they
thing
were
I heard
calling for a ceasefire, weren't they?
Yeah, that's what I heard. Yeah, hopefully, let's see what happens. But they
So
said this
brutal,
before,
eh? I think that's the most horrific. Like, I don't even want to say the words, but like kids and women and just the brutality.
To me, in talking to my dad, he's a Vietnam vet. He's like,
really?
In his opinion, a war, like the wars of the past, the Vietnam War, this is not a typical war. This is not soldier mano a mano type thing.
Yeah.
You have children and women and children getting targeted. Do you really consider that a war? No. To me, it's genocide. It's something else other than war. I mean, you can't call it a war. Soldiers are not really actually.
Why are you calling it genocide?
I'm
because that's what they're doing.
I mean,
who's doing?
That's what Palestine's attempting to do.
Yeah.
No other real word for it.
I asked because some people think Israel is committing genocide. So I'm asking specifics.
I mean that's the only word that comes to mind.
I get.
Yeah.
Well,
you guys think it's Palestine, but no, I've heard a lot.
I mean, I'm not having set aside. I think, I haven't, to tell you the truth, I don't care who's doing it.
Tell you what.
Yeah.
Look at their track record between each side, and you can decide for yourself who's telling the truth and who's full of shit. And if you can't figure it out, I can't enlighten you.
Well, from my perspective, it seems like Israel is defending, land or their territory that's is
rightfully theirs. That's
correct.
Theirs, period.
And they're being attacked in the process. So that's what I'm seeing. But I mean, I guess you ask from
it's kind of like
perspective, and
it's kind of like this: when you got something, okay, and all of a sudden this goofy ass toy don't mean shit. And there's only like, let's say 1,000 of these toys made. And then 100 years from now, you got this toy, never touched it, never took it out of the box because it was goofy and you didn't play with it. All of a sudden, that toy's worth like, $1 million, $2 million. Well, the land looked at kind of the same way as that toy. Didn't mean shit back in the day. It was a barren land. There was no prosperity in it, nothing. Israel moved in, took over the land, and over the last, I want to say the last 1,000 years, I think it's over 1,000 actually, Israelites moved in. 1,000 years later, the land's prosperous, has water, has an economy, has people, has a civilization and society. and all of a sudden, other side says, "Hey, we want that fucking land." Well, no, you don't just get to take over something that someone, colonized over a period of 1,000, 2,000 years. You don't just get to take it and say that it's yours by right. By right, it's not yours. A king gave it over 1,000 years ago.
Right. So
But
this
James,
has been going on forever. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
but aren't they fighting also for like Jerusalem too? Like or something that they wanted Jerusalem or something like that? Like the war or something
They
a long
want
time ago?
they want genocide against Jews. Point blank fucking period.
Oh.
It's a religious war. It's nothing more than greed. And it's a religious based war, so you have a lot of people putting everything on the table that they possibly can. And then you have the greed side of it, which is the economy takeover and taking over a land that's actually, like a ready to move in house basically. And they're just shrouding it in fucking bullshit ideals. And these people that say, "Oh, 1948, it was fucking given." No, it wasn't. It was over 1,000 fucking years ago the goddamn land was given. Okay? It was by fucking King David. And if you don't agree with that, well, you need to learn your fucking history and stop saying that the Bible isn't true, because this shit actually did fucking happen.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, it's fascinating. I mean, it's a war that's been going on for ages and ages, and don't fool yourself. And people are saying it's not. Nah, religion is. In my opinion, a lot of these wars are because of religion. You know what I mean? That's just me. But when you see kids and women and children dying, I don't know. I can't imagine that you can't sit down and say, this got to stop. You know what I mean? I just don't get it. I just don't. I mean, it's women and children. It's generational. It's just like
I knew it was going to draw them out.
But
here comes senior citizen Saul.
So yeah.
I dropped one sentence and I knew it was going to come in just based off the one sentence.
Hello, Eddie. How the hell are you? Oh, really? Oh, yeah. Well, Herbert Hoover's staying there, too. That's right. Yeah. When are you coming over to see me, Eddie? No, wait a minute, you bald-headed son of a bitch. Don't get started on that Israel thing, Eddie, or I won't let you in the front door. No, wait a minute. No. Well, I told you I'd get to it when I quit. Eddie, wait a minute. Now, look, don't start to crying, Eddie. Every time you get on that Israel thing, you start to crying. Now, don't do it. Well, Eddie, I can't do things in this job as fast as you think I should. Wait a minute, Eddie. I've got a lot of other customers to think about here. Well, now, Eddie, wait. No, Eddie. I cannot invite Chaim Weizmann down to the White House. And you know that. Well, Israel's not a state yet, Eddie. No, wait a minute. Eddie, look here. I've got to do things in this job by protocol. Well, that means flags and dinners and invitations and well, what flag could the Waldorf Astoria be flying for Weizmann? Well, heavens alive. Well, I'll check with the State Department. Now, look here. Eddie, get over here. Can you get over here in about an hour? All right, fine. But, Eddie, don't get into that Middle East thing and don't start to crying, or I swear to God, I'll have you thrown out. All right, fine. I look forward to seeing you. Bye-bye. Say, Rose, would you have General Vaughn check with the State Department, see what we have to do to get Chaim Weizmann invited down here? And, Rose, listen, find out what flag the Waldorf Astoria in New York is flying for Weizmann, and we'll fly the same damn thing. And, Rose, tell General Vaughn if the State Department kicks up a fuss because Weizmann isn't a head of state or anything, just to forget about it. We'll sneak him in the East Gate and keep it to ourselves. You know that call I just got just now was from Eddie Jacobson, one of my oldest friends on the face of this earth. He and I went bust in business many years ago back in Kansas City. But that man Jacobson is what I believe this country really is all about. He is always looking to do something for somebody else, even though Eddie might need the help more than they do. I really always believe there's enough for every living soul in this country. If the vested few would just get it out of their skulls, that all benefits ought to filter downward. I really believe one of our biggest problems in this country is that financial control is in the hands of too few.
Doing
Palestine's okay because a lot of people that are brainwashed through illegitimate teachings of the Quran, a misinterpretation of what something is, mainly jihad. Jihad doesn't mean what people are brainwashed into thinking it means. A holy war is really not an outward war. It's an inward war. It's a war of long suffering. It's a war of steadfast faith. It's a war of sacrifice and self-determination to carry on. It's not an outward oppressive act. It's not an act of war. A lot of people are tricked and duped into thinking that, Muslims are against everybody. That's not true. It's not true at all.
I agree.
But these particular sect of people, Hamas, terrorists, which I find it like insanely funny that these people out in fucking all these colleges are literally GoFundMe and all this other bullshit. They're raising money for terrorists. I hope you know that's crime. That's like a very serious crime. And all you fucks looking for jobs after this, you're not only going to not have a job, you're not going to have a fucking freedom.
Right.
You're going to be in prison. That's not called protest. That's called fucking active aiding and abetting terrorists. Fucking retards. You're in fucking Harvard. You should know this.
Now, is that like a religious?
Some of it's culture, some of it's, interpretation of religion. And it's not like the Christians haven't done it. It's not like the Catholics haven't done it. It's been done widely in every fucking religion except for, I think, Buddhism.
To that extent, though? Like that?
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
In 1948, the Israeli Declaration of Independence sparked the 1948 Arab-Israeli War, which resulted in the 1948 Palestinian expulsion and flight and subsequently led to waves of Jewish emigration from other parts of the Middle East. Today, approximately 43% of the global Jewish population resides in Israel.
I was having this discussion with Chuckles, and Chuckles is Jewish, so she says. I don't know if she's really practicing. She basically says she's not practicing, but her thing is that Hamas is basically, they're brought up to just want to kill all the Jews. That's like her thing,
right? Mm-hmm.
And it's basically an extermination attempt against the Jewish people. I mean, what do you you think that's accurate?
Yeah, that's pretty good basis. They misinterpret the word jihad, and they're trained and raised in a culture that is from birth taught to hate Jews. I'm not saying that they have no basis not to hate them, because a lot of shit that was done in the past probably wasn't the best. But as an outward genocide, to go that route, no. Come on. You can't. That's like blanket statement, and using the 13%, 50% as a blanket statement to the African American community. Can't use that either.
Like, that's just constant living in fear,
Yeah. I mean, Truthfinder was trying to say, was basically trying to say that Israel has committed all these atrocities. They killed something like 7,000 civilians, like women and children, and he's creating this big argument against Israel. And I don't know. I mean, that might be true. I don't know if that's true.
That motherfucker's just going on the wow factor. He's just saying that just to go along.
But we've seen them actually dump out leaflets. I don't know if you guys heard that, but they were trying to warn, areas where they're planning on, going in and bombing. They were sending out leaflets to tell people to get the hell out. I mean, they're
really?
trying. Yeah.
Gosh.
That reminded me of World War II kind of deal.
Yeah.
But so I don't know. It's hard. Again, I'm not there. I just see what I see in the news. Most of the stuff I see in the news, I don't believe anyways, at least the way that they portray it. So it's kind of hard to tell, without just sitting and listening on multiple, news sources or people that are there on the ground, and alternate media companies that report on stuff like this. It's really hard for me to get a good handle on exactly what's happening. Because unfortunately, it's just the way media is. They don't do a great job reporting. They have a message that top down and says how they want to portray things, and they literally all read from the same script, and we've seen this time and time again. So
I don't trust the media, obviously. Who does, right?
No, me neither, because it's you go to one channel, then the other one says something else, and then the other channel says something else. So it's they all have the same story, but they try to reword it or try to make it more scary or not as irrelevant, you know?
That's right, and it's hard to know what's the truth and what to believe. Like, you know, it's... Especially if you're like me, I really don't have a good grasp on all those things. Scare me. So I tend to, you know, bliss is ignorance, or ignorance is bliss.
You know, I did hear that Russia was backing, was it Hamas or was it Palestine? I know Russia's getting involved. Palestine, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, again, another... It's like it's just a war with Russia that we're fighting proxy, you know. Two different war fronts. You get Ukraine now, and then you get the Israeli-Gaza conflict.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I mean, are they backing them or are they just funding them? Because I mean, America's done both sides as well. We're not gonna spin our back, bro.
Russia's allied with Hamas.
Yeah. You ain't gonna see no troops get sent over, though.
What's that?
You ain't gonna see no troops get sent over, though.
No, I think that was more supplies.
Guarantee that one.
Yeah, it was more supplies and stuff like that. Yeah, I don't see them putting troops on the ground there. I think they're focused on Ukraine, which has not been. Again, we thought this was going to be over quickly in Ukraine, but here we. Senior citizen Saul's throwing some good stuff in here. But yeah, it's a big, like, so I had this not an argument, but we had a discussion with Jaymee on my channel about this, and it was my argument was it's more of an economic, military, strategic location relationship that we have. Jaymee's more on the religious side of the arrangement, but you know, in my opinion, you know, say what you want, but the U.S. isn't. My opinion, but U.S. isn't there because of God. But I mean, that might have.
I'll give you this. It's a little bit of both.
Yeah, but
not gonna say which one it's more of, but they're both based out of the same shit. And that's with every country. That's with every ally that we got. You know what I'm saying? That's not just an Israel thing. That's a across the board thing. America doesn't want to see genocide. America doesn't want to see, you know, people getting fucked with. Everybody deserves, you know, freedom in this goddamn world. And we're to the point now where we can provide it. And if we can't, then we'll wipe out whoever the opposition is.
Wow.
So you want to talk about that? How about all these illegal immigrants getting housed with asylum, taking up 150 million on average every state?
Don't get me started on that.
Weird.
You said in every state, 150 million?
Average since it began 150 million. They finally see, hey, wait a minute. All this funding is getting used up. All these buildings are getting taken. All these fucking, you know, asylum seekers are starting to take up way too much property and way too much money in the funding. And all these people with, you know, 5, 10 kids are getting pissed off because they ain't getting the funding. Or they're getting cut. Or they're getting, you know, ran around, and they're like, oh, okay, well, now we see where the fucking money's going. Wait a minute, there's a problem here. America comes first. We take care of our own first, and then we help people. That's why there's limitations on fucking immigration, and nobody really understands that. There's a certain allocated amount of money for this shit. And when you go above and beyond by, like, you know, 100-fold, 200-fold, well, that money doesn't just get pulled out of fucking thin air. It gets pulled out of people's pockets. And by people, I mean Americans.
Mr. P, I'll start with you. If you were president tomorrow, what would be the first thing you would tackle? What would be the most on your agenda of the list of fucking fuckery that's going on in this world? What would be the first thing in mind that you want to take care of, get rid of, whatever?
I mean, what I would want to change and what would actually change would be two different things, but number one would probably be healthcare.
And I've been saying that for a number of years. I suppose the first time I might have said it publicly, at any rate, was on the floor of the United States Senate in 1937. Mr. President, thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. I'll only be a moment this morning. If I might take a few minutes of your time, I'd like to discuss the cause that I believe for the unrest, the financial difficulties, the unemployment, and so on in our country today. And I believe that that chief cause is that we worship money instead of honor. A billionaire in this country is much greater in the eyes of the people than the public servant who works for the public interest. And it seems to make no difference if that billionaire rode to his wealth on the sweat of little children and the blood of underpaid labor. No, I am not yielding to the senator at this time, Mr. President. In fact, I would like to remind the senator, in fact, the Carnegie libraries are steeped in the blood of the Homestead Steelworkers, for heaven's sakes. No, I'm not yielding at this time, Mr. President. In fact, I'd like to, in my opinion, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, Senator, we in this country worship mammon. Take Wall Street, for heaven's sakes. Now, you take Wall Street with its ability to control the very lifeblood of this country financially and to employ the best law brains in this country. Wall Street has yet to produce one financial statesman, and by that I mean a man who is able to recognize the danger of this bigness of business and this concentration of wealth and is willing to do something about it. Instead, Wall Street still employs the best law brains in this country to serve greed and selfish interest, and I tell you, there's going to be a settlement one day. Because there's going to be one unnecessary depression too many, there's going to be one receivership too many. And the people are going to demand a settlement because they can stand just so much. In my opinion, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, we are building in this country a Tower of Babel. I yield the floor to the senator.
Healthcare? First thing?
Yeah.
Hmm.
I think healthcare is a problem in this country. It's a massive problem. And it's a problem that we're dealing with in this country. So, yeah.
Also,
followed by a second, immigration. It would be hard. It'd be hard to not deal with immigration, but I would deal with healthcare primarily.
How about you, Jaymee? What would be the first thing you would tackle? Get rid of?
First thing?
Whatever.
The absolute first thing? You guys are going to hate me for this. So, all the hardcore drugs, methamphetamine, heroin, crack cocaine, PCP. I wouldn't tax psychedelics. No, it would be a life sentence for drug dealers. And it'd be a death sentence for traffickers. It would be a capital offense, punishable by death. Wow. And it would be a lifetime sentence for anyone dealing drugs.
See, it's interesting because
that's a solution, though. At least he has a solution. You know, he has a goal, and he has
same thing Trump said.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's weird that other countries have it legal, right? And they don't have the same issues that we have.
Oh, bullshit. Bullshit. They have the same issues. I'm telling you, they have the same fucking issues.
But not in the scale that we have. Yeah, but I don't know. United States is
No, Jamie's right. They do have a lot. Like, look at Colombia, Medellin, and everything.
Well, tell me this: how did it work out for Oregon?
Yeah, so I feel like
how's it working out for Oregon?
Oregon?
Oh shit, true, right?
Yeah, Oregon, the state of Oregon. How's it working out for them right now?
It's a mess.
Okay. Okay.
I don't think Oregon's doing it right.
I'll give you the long term. I'll give you the long term role. Maybe in 20 years it might actually turn around. You might have some positive byproducts of that, but I doubt it. And I'm not willing to risk.
Oregon's dealing with more issues. I think it exacerbates the issue because of the other problems in Oregon. It's not just the fact that they're trying the legal route and it's making the problem worse. I mean, there's a lot of issues in Oregon. Like, let's start with the fact that, you know, basically you can just rob fucking a store with like under $10,000 worth of goods and nobody's chasing you.
So, here's a different question. Why do red states lead in violent crime? In fact, why do red states lead in every bad category from drug abuse, teen pregnancy and porn consumption overall, while also being the most reliant on federal aid?
You want to know why the problem is so big of a problem and so like hard to actually counteract? So look at how Canada does their system, okay? And I'll use Canada as a comparison because it's a very good comparison. It's not a typical culturized thing to go without working. It's not a typicalized thing to get on government assistance. A lot of people are on it, but you're talking in comparison to the United States, apples and oranges, total fucking night and day difference. So the morality of actually having a job and paying into medical insurance and actually buying what you need for yourself is there in Canada. That's why it has such a low percentage of people on the assistance programs that they have. In America, it's become a standard, and it's become a standard because of one thing and one thing only: welfare. Giving you a check for nothing, giving you assistance for nothing. It's become an expectation. And this younger generation doesn't want to do physical labor jobs. They don't want to do, bullshit jobs. They want to do, like $30 an hour jobs. Well, I'm not going to pay you $30 an hour to flip fucking burgers. It's not feasible. It's not a thing.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? Like the comparison, just the metrics of the situation don't make sense. So if you have free medical assistance to everybody in America, do you know how much fucking money that's going to take out? Do you know how much money that's going to actually take to get all these people proper medical insurance? Do you know what the premiums are going to happen to regular people? The same thing that happened when Obamacare came out. The premiums fucking doubled and in some cases tripled for regular people working a job, paying into their fucking shit. That's bullshit. That should never happen. I should never have to pay for someone else's fucking expense.
Right. I mean, look.
Well, isn't that just tough titty? The scumbag doesn't want to pay for anyone else's expense. Apparently, he doesn't understand that we all have to pay for this mouth breather to rot in jail when he racks up yet another DUI because he can't keep his happy time juices under control. Every day and night that he uses electricity, water and air conditioning in our penal facilities is funded by me and you.
So the amount of money's there, the practice is there, and we just need to find a way to get people back to fucking work, earning an honest wage and actually paying their share.
This is kind of intriguing what Christ is saying. He's saying, Jaymee, that's why the best way to do it is to have every citizen get a $1,200 stipend to take their own health care. It can only be used for health care.
Yeah, but $1,200. I mean, I know what he's talking about, and I've seen some cases like, that put that shit on a scale and actually made it make sense. But there's a lot of fucking metrics that don't work with that, and $1,200 is nothing. I mean, $1,200 is like 2 doctor's visits, if you're lucky, with no meds. Fuck, I know medications. Some people pay fucking $5,000 a month for medication. My boyfriend, he pays fucking how much is your psoriasis medication without insurance?
How much?
$4,500 without. So he's got psoriasis medication that he takes every month. It's a shot, and it's $4,500 a month for the shot every month without insurance. So tell me how that makes sense. So at that level, all you could do is attack the litigation on the price gouging of this fucking medication, because it's obviously bullshit. I mean, you can make it a certain amount of money for so long, but after a while, you've met your fucking expectation of earned income.
But with
you
the
have to be able to lower it down.
Insurance premiums, like if you,
it could be with whatever it is. $1,200 a year was the stipend, and it's an automatic stipend for everyone without anything. Like you just have it on the books.
So you could buy an insurance policy. Like, what do you guys pay for medical insurance?
Let me ask this question, because I heard in Canada, I think the insurance is paid by the citizen with their taxes, right? And it works pretty well, right?
Yeah, we pay hefty taxes here.
So
the majority of our medical stuff is covered by OHIP.
Because their unemployment's so low. Their unemployment ratio is so low that they can afford to allot that amount of money for medical backing. You know what I'm saying? It's not like that here in the U.S. Like that shit, it's not. Wish it was.
And I agree, that's a major issue. I mean, Jamie's right about that. You have so much money being dumped into people that aren't working.
Right, and they're choosing not to work. It's not like they can't; they're choosing not to work. And another part of that is they can't go into work because the boss doesn't want them on the job because they do have a medical issue. So there's litigation with that keeping them from working. So there's a lot of different metrics that could be changed, but this shit's not being talked about. This shit's not being voted on. and your fucking representatives from your state and, you know, federal government aren't representing the best interest. They're just putting fucking, you know, perfume on a pig.
Right. I mean, I'm not going to say names, but there's, just to give you an example, there's an individual that, you know, gets headaches, and, you know, that person's out on disability. Okay. Like,
Yeah, get the fuck out of here with that shit.
Like, are you kidding me?
The fuck out of here. Take some aspirin and suck it up, Buttercup.
I get a
No,
headache
but-
just
Not
listening
gonna
to that
say
person
names.
speak.
No,
And
no,
then,
but
you know, I
hold
can't do
on, hold on,
disability.
hold on.
You know?
It's
I mean, I'm just-
migraines.
I'm making a
It's
joke, but,
almost what is the word?
Debilitating?
Debilitative
Yeah,
disability.
he can't exactly. So he can't
Yeah, but
function.
I think
Yeah, he can't
There's
really.
some people
10
who
hours a
have
day.
that, and then there's some people who fucking overstate the problem.
Milk it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, you're right. There's a lot of people that fake the funk. I get it. But
That fucking in
yeah.
between is what's fucking us, and us not,
That's
you know, the doctors being forced to take, you know, the symptoms as seriously as the patient is describing them is another problem. Like now, like Jordan Peterson talks about it all the time. Like he's forced to agree with his fucking, you know, patients.
If you're in pain, every budding beauty, so ashamed of her breasts that she lets a Machiavellian psychopath cut them off. You have no idea how many people that's killing. You have no idea. I see people everywhere, all over the world. They're so demoralized, especially young people, with a conscience, because they've been told since they were little that there's nothing to them but corruption and power. It's like, how the hell do you expect them to react? You know, well, I shouldn't do anything then, you know. The most fundamental reality is pain. Yes. Is there anything more fundamental than pain? Love. Really? If you're in pain, love and truth, that's what you got. And you know, if they're more powerful than pain, maybe they're the most real things. Even in the revelation of their triumph, the initial depth of their despair, so I wouldn't change that. But it's not nothing. And it's certainly not just happiness. It's better than happiness, but it's almost unbearable. Well, I think you really want to know what I think? I think it's revenge against God for the crime of being. That's really what I think. It's Cain and Cain and Abel. It's like, oh, Abel's your guy, eh? God, how about if I take him out in the field and beat him to death? How do you feel about that? All my sacrifices went unrewarded. Yeah, it's like, yeah, that's what it is at the bottom of the hell of things. And I have my tendency to feel a hell of a lot more sorry for a set of confused, isolated, and lonely pubescent girls who have no one to love them enough to help them appreciate who they are than I do for one overprivileged and unfortunately confused narcissistic Hollywood star.
Well,
So
that
it's
what
like,
Trump
that's
did,
a real
though?
tough line to walk. And I know it sucks,
Mhm.
but it is what it is.
It's realistic, right?
Isn't that what
Well,
Trump did,
see,
though?
when you say the rich don't pay any, it's because it's the tax code that allows them to write off the taxes
Yeah.
due to expenses. And it's because they're employing people. It's because they're generating products and jobs in the country. The tax code is rewarding them for doing that.
Yeah.
The tax code is not rewarding the individual who's going and working for $15 an hour. Especially once they start making six figures, over 150K. Now they're getting taxed like crazy.
Well,
So
the
everyone
whole
has this ability to do
problem
the tax
is
code.
the biggest problem I see with tax codes is the $400,000 cap. $400,000 cap jumps all the way to $1 billion. How the fuck does it make sense?
What was that?
It's basically an infinite fucking. It's like, okay, so you get to $400,000 and then it's basically a cap. So you can make anywhere from $400,000 all the way to a fucking $1 billion almost before you hit a different fucking bracket.
Oh, so you still just pay on the 400,000 basically. The tax.
I mean, it doesn't increase. There's no increase. You're still paying on that money that you're making past the 400,000, but the bracket stays the same. Yeah, the bracket always stays the same, and that's a fucking problem.
That's a big problem.
This is the Nike swoosh, and it's the sneaky reason Nike pays almost $0 in tax. So imagine you're Nike. You sell shoes and clothes with check marks on them, and you sold $50 billion worth of them. You come away with $5 billion in profit. Now, every country has a tax rate. For corporations in the US, it's like 25% of your profits. But what if you don't make that money in the US? So the Nike execs meet with their lawyers.
Yo, boys, we're sick and tired of losing all our profits. Here's what we're gonna do. You no longer own your logo. This here shell corporation we just spun up does, and they're based in Bermuda. So when yous make $5 billion in profits this year, that ain't taxed in the US of A, cause it's gonna walk your Bermudian shell corporation, and they're gonna hand you a bill for $4.5 billion. Look what it's for. Royalties. To use the swoosh they technically own. Yous with me, little bud?
I'm with you, and this trick has since been squashed, but of course there's new loopholes to take its place.
I mean, there's different kinds of sanctions on certain companies, like, you know, they're starting to get more into the cardboard taxation, starting to get more into the, what do they call it, the fucking, the footprint, the carbon footprint of the company. They're getting more into that. And UK's been doing that for a long time, and it's pretty successful from what they're doing. That's one thing I would kind of look over how they're doing that implementation and use that here in the States to fit what our usage is.
Yeah.
It's funny, why aren't the politicians that run the countries having these conversations? I mean, I guess they are, but
they are, but they're just protecting their interests. They're being self-serving. They're not representing their actual fucking voted interests.
That's right.
Yeah.
And the biggest problem is none of you fuckers go down to your village hall meetings, and none of you guys go to your fucking, you know, your state assemblies and your rallies and shit like that. And it's not exactly all your fault, because the problem is you're too caught up in the rat race, and you know, you're too focused on putting food on the table, which is a good focus to have, but you got to keep track of the whole picture. And if you don't, then you can't really complain.
I think some people also have the perspective of like, would anybody really listen? Would it do, am I going to waste my time? Would it do any good to go there and voice my, like, you know what I mean? Like,
so like, how does the, like, for example, when voting comes, you know, like that's where I feel like my vote doesn't count, because like you go vote, and then you feel like, well, does it really count? Does it really impact anything?
Well,
you know?
do you vote?
It does.
It does. Yes, please. Somebody said a couple of nights ago that they don't vote, and I said, you're not. You know, the fact that you're not voting, well, listen, think about it. The way I go about it, I just choose the lesser of the evils. I kind of look at both candidates, but not voting is not the answer for sure.
Amazon paid $0 in tax on $11 billion in profits in 2018, and companies do this all the time. But how? Well, put us in Jeff Bezos' shoes. You run the everything store behemoth now. You're one of the first two companies in history to be worth $1 trillion. $1 trillion. But wait, what's that guy doing?
I'm signing this piece of paper. It's right here. I typed it all by myself. Look, taxes for businesses. We're 35%. I'm making them 21%. I can do that now. You know I'm the president, right? Corporations are literally going wild over this.
Wild indeed. The signing of the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act instantly shaved $2 billion of taxes owed off of Amazon's $11 billion profit. Look what Amazon does next.
I want state-of-the-art warehouses, faster planes, electric trucks, and more training for diversity, equity, and include.
My dad
Senior
always says, if you
citizen
don't
Saul,
vote,
I'm going to help you out. I'm going to give you a 5-minute timeout. You get one question every 5 minutes, okay? It's going to be a new thing. One question every 5 minutes.
I've been back from France about 2 days when I ran into Eddie Jacobson on the streets of Kansas City, and we shook hands and agreed to go into business together. We opened a haberdashery shop in Kansas City, and from time to time, some of the boys from Battery D would stop by to swap lies about who'd won the war, and one of them was Jim Pendergast, the man I mentioned to you earlier. Well, Eddie and I did pretty well until the Depression of 1922, and then we had to go out of business, and Eddie went out on the road selling shirts for somebody else. And before I could get any kind of job, I found myself running for an elective office called county judge in Jackson County, Missouri. Not really a judge in a judicial sense, but more of a county commissioner in the rest of the country. But I found myself running for that elective office with the support of the Pendergast political organization. They were 1 and 2 in Jackson County, very powerful. And I got their support. I didn't know the big boss, Tom Pendergast, at all, but I did know his nephew, Jim, the Jim Pendergast I mentioned. And Jim told his Uncle Tom that I was one officer in the war whose men didn't seem to want to shoot him. So they gave me their support, and I won the election. And I always figured I won the election because I had more relatives in the county than the other guys. And I was broke, and most of the voters were broke, so they went for a fellow who was in the same fix. But after I got elected, my biggest job was trying to get some roads built in Jackson County, Missouri. We had more mud roads in Jackson County than any other county in the country at that time. And you know, when you start talking about building roads and you've got the money to back it up, it's very much as though you were a female moth and unloaded your entire load of bombacol into the air in one spray. Immediately, you'd have 5 trillion males headed in your direction, and every one of them would be a road contractor. And I got my first taste of it when I got a visit from Tom Pendergast, the big boss, right after we passed the bond issue to build the roads. Mr. Pendergast, for heaven's sakes, what an honor. Well, sir, Tom, all right, Tom, you betcha. No, I don't. Mr. What? Ross? Nice to know you, Ross. All right. Ryan? Oh, yes. Baden? Oh, well. No, I don't know them, Tom, but I've heard of them. Well, what an honor. Please sit down, Tom. Right there, gentlemen, please make yourselves to home. All right, fine. Well, isn't this grand? What can I do for you, Tom? Yes, I'd heard that they were your supporters. I'd heard that, but I've got to tell you something, Tom. They're not very good road builders. Well, I mean, they're pie crust road builders. That means the roads they build are crumbling like pie crust, is what that means. Well, their bids were just too damn high, Tom, that's all. Yes, I know they pay their taxes here, but that doesn't entitle them to the money, does it? Oh, yes, I'm going to give the job to a bunch of them out of state. Well, their bids were lower. And, of course, the roads they build hold up. I've seen them. You leaving, gentlemen? Oh, all right. Well, come back anytime. It's the same for everybody. No, sir. No, you don't know me very well, Mr. Pendergast, but I'm afraid you're just going to have to make do with what I think is right. No, sir. No, I don't believe I'm being contrary. I would hope to God I'm being businesslike. No, sir, I don't think you're interfering exactly. I would hope that it might be the beginning of an understanding. Yes, sir. Well, I certainly will do that, Mr. Tom, all right, I certainly will. Tom, I'll do what I think is right. Bye-bye. Shortly after that, it came out that Pendergast was a secret partner of those 3 men, and he had lost a considerable amount of money by my decision. But he never interfered with my work at that time or at any other time, even when he was in deep trouble and needed help desperately. And that happened in 1939 when he was indicted for income tax evasion, sent to prison. And his entire political organization fell apart, and it couldn't have come at a worse time for me, because in 1940, I had to decide whether I was going to run for another term as United States Senator. I had just completed my first term, and I wanted to more than anything on the face of this earth. I really believe the happiest years of my political life were spent on the floor of the United States Senate. More than that, I really believed that I had accomplished some good work for the common people of the state of Missouri. And I became convinced that I had accomplished something for the common folk of Missouri when I found out that every metropolitan newspaper in the state, save one, was opposed to my re-election.
That's why I'm asking Jaymee, because I don't know the answers.
Yeah, do you vote, Zal?
Yeah, I vote. I voted for Trump.
Okay,
When he ran, I voted for Trump, and he won. So,
speaking of, you think Trump is I don't know. People are just, I don't know.
I mean, to be honest, like Trump had, okay, so with Trump, I felt in my eyes like he did have some flaws, but he really knows how to run a business.
You're gonna get me, girl.
Be careful, be careful, be careful.
She's got you.
And I will move heaven and earth to do something.
Trump 24, we love you. We love you, Trump. 2024.
He knows how to
Some
make
flaws.
deals with like other countries. Know how to make contracts. You know, he knows how to
He's
do
an
that stuff.
egomaniac. He's an
Let's be
egomaniac, but I
honest, he had
did
a
vote
ton
for
of
him.
flaws. I supported what he did. I supported a lot of his policies. I loved his foreign policy. I loved a lot of the stuff he was doing. But I mean, the guy, you know, Jesus, he just needed to be more president. If he was even 20% more presidential, I think he would have had an easier
But that's
time.
the thing. You can't force someone to be something they ain't. He wasn't gonna fucking be
And that's
a
not why
goddamn
he was voted
mouthpiece.
in. He wasn't voted in to be a politician, right? I mean, we
Right.
get it.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
Right, but
He
there's
was
certain
voted
things.
in because of one reason and one reason only. And Zell fucking hit the nail on the head. The motherfucker knows how to run a successful company.
A man whose job it was to get inside Donald Trump's head and share his story with the world says Trump is a failing real estate developer who had little idea what he was doing. Charlie Learson was Trump's ghostwriter for his 1990 book, Surviving at the Top. He worked with Trump during the years that the New York Times bombshell report showed Trump had over $1 billion in losses. In a couple years, double the next biggest loser in America. It is a starkly different picture than the one painted in Surviving at the Top. So Charlie Learson is out front. Okay, so, you know, Art of the Deal becomes this bestseller. Then he wants to do a sequel, and so he sits down with you. You write it. As I said, you really get his voice. I encourage people to read it. It's quite fascinating. He talks about wanting an open marriage and all kinds of things like that. But let me just ask you, during this time, things are turning around for him very much to the south.
Right.
We now see $1 billion in losses, and now you feel like you need to speak up because obviously that's not what he said in the book.
Multiple. So and look at the track record of his presidency, the best numbers in United States history. Unarguable.
Well, I just thought it was interesting that it from the story that the Times dug up the other day about the 10 years of income tax, and you think of chaos and misery, but in the center of that was this quiet office where he was going through fabric swatches most of the day, and in the middle of all this Sturm and Drang, he was oblivious to it. He wasn't really paying a lot of attention to the Plaza Hotel and the Trump shuttle and the other things he just invested in.
So you know, let me just show some examples because he wanted to use this as to, you know, portray the. I guess when you got in his head, did he believe the spin that he was giving you?
Well, as I say in the piece, he's the only thing I think he's above average at is compartmentalizing. So he was able to put all that bad stuff in a box that he didn't think about during the day. And I think it only really bothered him when it became public. At this time, like things were really going to hell in his business, but the public didn't know about it yet, so he wasn't that concerned.
Right, and then he wants to put this book out to, I'm curious what word you'd use, okay? Because let's talk about a yacht. He bought a yacht. He calls it the Trump Princess in 1987, actually from a relative of Jamal Khashoggi, Adnan Khashoggi. He ultimately had to turn it over to lenders, right? Because he was so far in the hole, but he lost the boat. Right. But in the book, he says, after a couple years, I started to think about an even bigger boat, and I actually had plans drawn for one. This is a classic example of how I keep trying to top myself. Owning the world's most magnificent yacht only made me want to get something bigger and better. But as much as I've enjoyed it until now, I don't need it anymore, and I don't want it anymore. In that year, when it was taken from him, he had $42.2 million in business losses. This was not spinning.
Right.
This was just a blatant lie.
Oh yeah, and I can still see myself at my kitchen table writing what you just read. You know,
you
in
remember
his
him
voice.
telling you this?
Well, no, he didn't tell me that. We had each time we had a whole book of braggadocious stuff all prepared, and then as we were ready to go to press, Forbes magazine and some other people came out with the news that he actually had a below zero net worth, that everything was going south. His wife, Ivana, left him at the time. Mike Tyson was his meal ticket in Atlantic City, got knocked out. Everything was going poorly. So we had to salvage the book. We had to come up with these lame explanations, meaning me and the editors, and
to
Trump
try to sell the whole thing.
He wasn't really involved in.
Interesting. He makes a point in here of saying, you know, he's the one who left Ivana. I mean, that all is in there as it's happened contemporaneously.
You know that.
Oh, this
See, it's funny the way that people talk about it, though. They think that the reason why Trump had such a good economic track record is because of the things that Obama put into
Don't
place.
you dare! Oh my God!
No. I'm just telling you
son
what
of a
I'm
bitch.
saying.
You sick son of a bitch!
This is the narrative, though. And then what they do is
fucking priceless.
No, listen to this. And then what Biden's saying is that the reason why he's dealing with an economic issue is because of Trump. So they're always saying that the things that the previous president did are what is responsible.
So here's
for
the
what
reason
current
why
president is
Biden's
dealing
going
with.
through what he's going through. Biden's going through what he's going through because of the handling of COVID.
On every measure, from the economy, inflation, borders, energy, national security, he's missing in action.
Let's talk about them in order. Let's
hang on.
Wait, but I want to challenge the premise.
Hannity wants to list them, but he doesn't want to go through one by one. Typical.
The economy, 13.1 million jobs he's created. More.
These are post-COVID jobs.
Okay.
You know that.
Well,
I mean, that's an artificial number.
No. Then let me stipulate this as an opportunity to engage civilly on this.
Okay.
Fair point. Your president, Donald Trump, lost 2.6 million jobs during his 4 years. We've created 13.1 million. Fine, you can maintain a COVID frame. How about the fact that Joe Biden's created more jobs, 6 times more jobs than the previous 3 Republican presidents combined?
Are you going to tell me
Sean,
that the average family, where we have 2/3 of Americans now living paycheck to paycheck,
it was 70% under Trump?
This is how you don't back down from these bullies.
Limit the spending, you'll create the allotted amount needed.
Right. There should never be.
And I agree with it.
There should never be a 6 to 7 figure study to figure out if pizza's a vegetable. Every single politician involved in that should have been fucking kicked out immediately. There needs to be term limits. There should be no such thing as a career politician.
Correct.
More people need to get in on the local shit, because guess what? Local is where all of this starts.
That's where it starts.
Anybody who says, "Oh, my vote doesn't matter," yeah, maybe depending on the state, it may not matter. In Massachusetts, guess what? A person who votes Republican, it's never going to really count.
According to a report from Punchbowl News, Mitch McConnell, surprisingly, actually sprang to life this week during a Republican caucus lunch meeting where McConnell lashed out at Republican Senator Josh Hawley and then proceeded to issue a warning to the entire Republican caucus in the Senate. So here's what happened. Josh Hawley, Republican senator from Missouri, you know, the guy who gave the fist of solidarity to the Capitol rioters right before they stormed the Capitol and then was seen running like a coward and then wrote a book about being a manly man. But anyway, Josh Hawley has put out new legislation in the Senate that basically would prohibit any kind of political spending from any corporation that is a publicly traded company. And that is the key. If it's a publicly traded company, if it's on NASDAQ, if it's on Wall Street in any way, they cannot give money to a politician. They cannot give money to political groups. That's what Hawley's legislation would do. Now, there's a couple caveats to that, and I'll get to that in just a moment. But just the existence of this legislation from Josh Hawley sent Mitch McConnell over the edge, and he didn't freeze up this time. He knew exactly what to say, and according to the reports, McConnell reportedly told Hawley the only reason that he is in the Senate at all is due to the Senate Leadership Fund, which can take unregulated, unlimited contributions for candidates and campaigns. So Mitch McConnell got so mad at Josh Hawley trying to do away with a little bit of the corporate money in politics that McConnell had to get to him and say, listen, you SOB, do you not realize that the only reason you're even in the Senate is because the wealthy donors bought that seat for you?
In a state where you know you're a Democrat and it's all Republican, yeah, maybe it doesn't count. At the presidential level, maybe it like the country level. You know where it matters? Your sheriffs, your mayors, your local selectmen, your counselors, the people that you don't know shit about because you're too fucking busy on social media reading the taglines about what thing you want to be insulted and upset for today. That's all I've got to say. Oh, and Ladybug, you're an ugly fucking cunt.
That's a hell of an admission from the Senate Minority Leader, basically telling Josh Hawley and the entire Republican caucus that, guys, the only reason we have any power is because these people, these corporations, they are buying our seats for us. That's what McConnell is admitting here. If we don't have that corporate money, they can't buy elections and bye-bye Republican Party at that point. I don't know about you, but that kind of seems like a huge deal. Like, really just mask off American politics. If corporations aren't buying the seats, Republicans can't win. That's what Mitch McConnell just admitted, in my opinion. And then he went one step further. McConnell is said to have further told the GOP senators that if anyone signs on to the bill, they're going to get challenged from the right in a primary election. It's a direct threat to remove someone from Congress electorally. So not only does he say, listen, you idiots, we have to have corporations buy our seats for us, otherwise we'll never win. And then he says, if you support getting corporate money out of politics, I'm going to get you out of politics. Whew. It's come a long way from the man who just a month or two ago kept freezing up during press conferences, right?
You were asking for some successful policies. So
he was on Google this whole goddamn time.
Wall Street reform, Dodd-Frank Wall Street reform and Consumer Protection Act. That was to regulate financial sector and practices in the Great Recession to try to not, have the same thing happen again. Supposedly he ended the war in Iraq. Let me see. Turned around the U.S. auto industry. Let's see. Repeal Don't Ask, Don't Tell. Which ones you want to talk about? He's got about 50.
The guy was a fucking failure. The proof is in the pudding. He had 8 years to fucking change things. He didn't change a goddamn thing.
Apparently, you just got to know which buzzwords to throw out there to get Mitch McConnell activated and act like he's among the living again. Here's the thing about Hawley's legislation, though. It's bullcrap, right? It's window dressing. Because, it would ban a corporation or executives from giving money directly to a politician. But what it doesn't ban them from doing is giving money to those nonprofits, the dark money groups, who then turn around and give money to Republican politicians. So it actually doesn't solve any problem. It actually creates less transparency in the process. So it's horrible legislation, again, that actually gives corporations more cover to give money to the dark money groups who do not have to disclose their donors. The dark money groups then send the money to whatever politicians they wish. And Josh Hawley is not doing this, by the way, to be altruistic and to actually get money out of politics. He's doing it because he's pissed off that corporations were mad at him for, the fist and voting to overturn the election results. So Hawley had lost a lot, not all, but a lot of his corporate donors. So now he's trying to punish them. So it's a personal vendetta that he has against them, even though the legislation doesn't do much of anything to solve the problem of money in politics. But the biggest takeaway, of course, is Mitch McConnell clearly admitting that without that corporate money to buy those seats for Republicans wouldn't hold office today.
So let's talk about No Child Left
Improve
Behind.
the FDA.
Let's talk about that bullshit and how the education was basically thrown to the wayside so people don't feel ostracized because they're not as smart as the class that they're in. How about that? And why did that happen? Let's ask the audience. Why did that happen? Why was No Child Left Behind so important? Or should I say so fucked? Anybody?
My bad. Okay. Yeah, the No Child Left Behind.
Oh,
Stupid as fuck.
this is killing our
My
education
bad.
system. And it's putting us behind in the world for what students are learning. You compare it to students
Creating stupid voters like senior citizen Saul that believe anything that they're fucking spoon fed and believe anything that's on fucking national television news. If you think that you're fucking educated because you were a part of that program, no, it was for your fifis. It was so you didn't feel like the fucking retard that you actually are. It's not a bad thing. It's an effort thing. Put in more effort and you won't have to be left behind.
That was a big failure. Forget about that bullshit, man. That you're robbing kids of education. It's, to me, it's just.
So Senior Saul is reminding us that was a George Bush policy, not an Obama policy.
Was it?
No, actually, it was started by Clinton.
Was it Clinton? Yeah, that was. I don't know. So you move that child, because of this age, you keep moving them. But
and when did I ever say Gitmo was a fucking bad thing? I would never say that it was a bad thing. And I don't care how many fucking terrorists you show me tortured in that motherfucker. I'll clap and say, keep on rolling.
Mm.
If you got an issue with that, you obviously don't know what the fuck happens to POWs in places like Afghanistan, Palestine, any fucking part of the Middle East. You blind, stupid fuck.
NRA is a terrorist group now, apparently.
Yeah, no, it's a terrorist.
Yeah, I think he forgot to say ATF. He meant to. I think they auto-corrected that, and he meant to say ATF. I think Google got him on that one.
Okay, Obama served 2 terms.
Obama
Trump
is
never
also
got the
a senator,
vote.
a professor of
Why
law
was
and an
Obama
attorney.
elected in the first place?
He can
Let's answer
pronounce
that, let's be honest.
polysyllabic
Why did
words, and
Obama
unlike
get
this
fucking
sister
president?
fucking
Come on,
retard,
who's
he
got
was
the balls
president
to
for
say
8
it? Who's
years.
got the balls to say it?
Unfortunately, Jamie's gene pool will never get that far. Evolution can be so cruel.
Period. End of fucking story.
Well, yeah. I mean, that is.
And you know what? You know what? Hey, it happened. He got 8 years. You can't say that we're all fucking racist bigots. You can't say that we wouldn't fucking give the black guy a shot. We did. He did horrible. It was a mouthpiece for fucking evil people, and it all blew up in your fucking face. You backed the wrong fucking horse. It wasn't the right guy for the job. Now, if you put another guy in there that was black that actually wasn't just a civil activist and based out of Chicago, then you might actually had a fucking leg to stand on.
The dude had a mouthpiece, though. Obama had a hell of a
He was nothing but a fucking puppet. There was nothing genuine about any speech he ever gave, period. The only good thing that I laugh and I get a kick out of every once in a while is, ladies and gentlemen, we got him. Yeah, and it only took you fucking 10, 12 years to get him, you stupid fuck.
For the second time this sister fucking retard, I have to correct you that George W. Bush is not the same person as Obama. Obama wasn't president in 2001. Obama didn't start a 20-year disastrous war in 2 countries to find a Saudi-backed terrorist. Maybe you should drink less and read a book.
The statute of limitations, I know what you're talking about, that basically if
3 years on the misdemeanors and 5 years on some of the higher or lower felonies. The maximum is 7 years, and guess what? You're still over the 7-year mark if you can't do math.
Yeah. So he can actually still run, win.
Yes. Even if you convict him, he's taking it to the fucking Supreme Court. It's going to get overturned because of fucking statute of limitations. Should never even been brought into a courtroom. Any of the charges. Period.
Boom.
If it would have been, let me draw out a hypothetical for someone. If this would have been fucking Colin Powell.
So now this sister fucking piece of shit brings up yet another black man as his example. Gee, I wonder why. I sense that little Jaymee has a problem with black men that are more successful than he is.
If Colin Powell would have went through this, you motherfuckers would be in the street protesting because of the law, my rights. But because it's someone that you don't like, because it's some high school fucking comparison bullshit to you just don't like them. You just don't like the motherfucker. That's why you're letting it happen, because you just don't like them. Fuck rights, fuck law. You just don't like them. And that's bullshit.
Wow, Saul is coming out with some shit right now.
Yeah, he's coming in hot.
He's a fucking legend in his own mind.
So now, this crybaby piece of shit's voice is about to crack because I've injured his fragile little ego. Let me repeat myself. There are currently 94 felony charges, 4 indictments and 4 different states pursuing criminal and civil charges to your bloated Oompa Loompa god. The moron who spent $8 trillion in 4 years and his only legacy is being the biggest joke to ever hold office. At least little Jaymee can cry himself to sleep in his Chinese-made MAGA hat.
Like that.
All right, last thing. January 6th.
Complete and utter fucking bullshit. Should not even be talked about, but for the sake of it. If you guys were held without bail.
Why shouldn't it be talked about?
Because it's been fucking talked about for the last 4 or 5 years, or no, what is it, 3 years now? 3 years,
You
right?
don't think it was a big deal?
No, it was not. They were allowed in. And in case anybody didn't see the video footage of people walking around and praying with cops, well, you need to go do your fucking homework.
Agreed. I still think it should be talked about because at the end of the day, we had people like climbing the fucking walls and, putting their feet up in, Nancy Pelosi's desk. I mean, that was kind of a fucking crazy day in U.S. history, if you ask me. But that being said, that seemed orchestrated on multiple levels. It was, I mean, they literally...
CIA and FBI, Sam hit it on the head.
Yeah. Literally, though. I mean, they had these people in the crowds. I mean, dude, what's his name that just got ousted as the
Ray.
speaker?
What about
Riling
the cop
people
that
up.
supposedly fucking died?
Trump supporters.
Yeah, they were assaulters. They were what's called assaulters. They were fucking set there to be agitators within the group and cause a fucking mob scene.
Yeah,
when in all actuality, it wasn't.
Sam was saying they were dressed as Trump supporters. I mean, it was a direct, like they literally, like, I'm sorry, Trump like walked into this one. I hate to say it, but like that was the easiest thing. It was a trap. He did it, and they knew he was doing it, and they made him. They used it against him.
Elmer Stewart Rhodes III, the founder and leader of the Oath Keepers, and Kelly Meggs, the leader of the Florida chapter of the organization, were found guilty by a jury today of seditious conspiracy and other charges for crimes related to the breach of the U.S. Capitol. Enrique Tarrio, 39, of Miami, Florida, was sentenced to 22 years in prison and 36 months of supervised release by District Judge Timothy J. Kelly. His is the longest sentence, to date, related to the January 6th attack on the Capitol, September 5, 2023.
Yeah, see? Game over 4. I remember watching it that day, and I remember fucking trying to like figure out how to actually like get recordings of it. I didn't even know how to fucking screen record at the time. I'm sitting there with another cell phone, another tablet, like multiple fucking screens going at once, recording the shit, trying to hope that it doesn't get fucking deleted. Fucking crazy ass shit. There were so many. I mean, there was so much CIA interference with fucking like them blocking out the entire area with any fucking reception. It was to the point where people's live streams all got cut simultaneously. Tell me that's not fucking CIA. Come on.
Damn right.
And then all the channels. Look at all the channels that got deleted as a result of January 6th on YouTube, on fucking Twitch, and on Facebook. All the accounts that got deleted. Why do you think those accounts were deleted? Because they had the fucking information that would have showed everybody, hey, this is some fuck shit going on.
I mean, dude, they put a guy in they're trying to get him to do prison or jail, whatever they got him for, but because he was messing with the election supposedly and having some kind of meme that made it seem like you could vote, they're putting that man in jail. But they're not doing anything to the news companies that were blurring out things on when Trump was speaking for the the text thing. How about going into Twitter and fucking pushing a bunch, not letting certain people say certain things, allowing other things to get through. I mean, there was so much election interference. Forget ballots, forget all that stuff. Just the way certain things were allowed to be said, certain things were allowed to be pushed, other things were shut down. I mean, dude, I've never seen election interference like I seen it in the last election.
Yeah,
Never
it was
seen
insane. Remember
By
what
big
was the fucking
companies.
town out in Arizona? What was the town out in Arizona? Oh fuck. Who remembers the town out or the county out in Maricopa County? Maricopa County. Anybody remember that fucking little bullshit that they pulled? They were granted the right to do a recount, and then all of a sudden, motherfuckers with M16s walk through the door and shut that bitch down. Everybody leave at gunpoint.
Motherfucker.
The fuck? And if you want to talk about a terror attack, Mr. Senior Citizen Saul, since you want to say it was a terror attack by freaks like this, how about what the Palestinians are doing at the White House the last couple of days? How about that? Let's talk about that. Jumping fences.
Oh, really?
How about that? The quote unquote protest by the Palestinians. How about that terrorist organization? Don't want to talk about shit like that though.
So the protesting.
See, people like you just make me laugh. They weren't protesters. They were fucking trying to cause a disturbance and basically get sympathy from any group that would give them sympathy and funding, showing how they got fucking slammed to the goddamn ground and almost killed. Well, I'm sorry, but anytime I've ever fucking seen a motherfucker jump the fence in the past, they lit that son of a bitch up like the 4th of July. It didn't matter what fucking organization it was, what color he was. You jumped that fence at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, you're getting lit up like the 4th of July.
Yeah. I mean,
oh man. Yeah, say her name. Ashley Babbitt, say her name. How about that? How about the fact that the only person that was actually murdered that day, shot in the neck while she was wearing a fucking American flag around her neck like a cape. She was shot in the neck, and the person that fucking shot her wasn't even released. The information on who shot her wasn't even released until fucking 14 months after the fact. Why? Anybody want to answer? Anybody got the balls to answer that question? Why wasn't his information released?
Whose information?
The guy that shot Ashley Babbitt on January 6th.
You work for the government.
Oh,
Something.
No, because he was black.
Oh, was it?
He was black. And I'll give him this. Hey, you know what? I don't know what I would have done in that situation if I was within the hall and I didn't have like information on what was going on. But unless I seen a fucking gun being pointed at me or her wielding a weapon, wouldn't have shot her. Period. What happened to the fucking leftist move and shoot him in the leg? Huh? What happened to wounding? No, you shot her in the fucking neck because you wanted her fucking dead. Period. It wasn't a fucking an anxiety thing. You're top trained fucking security member of the fucking of the United States Capitol. The fuck out of here, man. Shot her for no fucking reason.
Pretty sure they changed a lot of things though.
It's just like situations like that get adjusted. And nobody talks about it because there's a couple of harsh truths to it. And that's unfortunate. If you guys don't want to talk about harsh truths, then you shouldn't talk about anything.
Here's a harsh truth for you. I don't value the opinion of a grown man too stupid to not get 16 felony DUIs. Furthermore, I don't respect or value the welfare or safety of a man that sympathizes with domestic terrorists. Even harsher. Most people don't value you either. You're a failure at life who never amounted to anything, and you will die an ignominious and unimportant death in obscurity where you belong. Now sit down. Shut the fuck up and go back to your meth lab in bumfuck Arkansas where you belong.
Then you shouldn't talk about anything.
One thing that I seen that, it seems like they're rewriting history was the amount of registered voters at the time of the election. Supposedly there was about 130. There was 133 or so million registered voters. Okay.
Right.
And then you look at what was it? 74 million for Trump. It was like 81 million for Biden.
Mm-hmm.
Do the math.
You're off by 30 million.
155 million or something like that voters.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Didn't you hear?
Does nobody see an issue that there was
vote,
20 or so million extra voters that suddenly just appeared?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's more than flawed. They're fucking cheating. I mean, that's why people even think about twice about voting nowadays. That Zell just said it earlier.
Good, don't vote. This way your vote will get cast somewhere else. I mean, you don't have to vote. They'll vote for you.
They'll vote for you, basically.
Basically, you know what I mean? It's like, what the fuck?
You have to do your part, though. Giving up and just submitting, you have to do your part. No matter what is going to happen at the end of the day, do your fucking part.
Yeah. I mean, not voting is not the
there
fucking
will come a
answer,
time. There will come a time when shit hits the fan, and people say enough is enough. But you at least got to do your part. Look at what happened when fucking cities were burning down. It eventually got worked out. I won't say that it got worked out in the most fucking the most legal route, because a lot of people just got, basically got away with murder, got away with fucking rape, got away with theft, got away with looting, got away with fucking arson, got away with threatening public officials, got away with threatening fucking, civilized human beings just trying to work their day-to-day jobs. That's bullshit. It got so bad to the point. Have you ever seen fucking concrete barriers get set up on fucking 355 or 294 in the city of Chicago? Have you ever seen fucking barriers set up on fucking Lakeshore Drive? I mean, I seen shit during that time that I have never experienced in my entire life. Shopping centers, even in the suburbs, were getting concrete barriers put in front of the motherfuckers just so they couldn't drive up fucking U-Haul trucks and fucking box trucks and steal everything in sight. I've never thought I'd see something like that.
How bad was it in your city, Mike? Was it pretty bad?
Not really. I'm in Connecticut, so it's not really a swing state.
Yeah. I know here it was fucking horrible, bro. It went on for days.
January 6th?
The lootings and
No, during the riots and shit.
The riots and stuff.
Oh yeah, New York got it bad too.
Yeah, no, we're not really. We're
they were
basically not really a swing state. We weren't considered a swing state at that time. I mean, it's getting closer now, but like it wasn't as crazy as it was in some of these places where it's like comes down to.
Got lit the fuck up. We were fucking.
What Mike's trying to say without saying is, in his state, there's motherfuckers that have guns and they stood out in front of their shops and they waited for a motherfucker to throw a brick. Said, "I bet you
I
won't,
wish a motherfucker
I bet
would.
you won't, Bubba.
I
I
bet you
can't confirm
won't.
or deny what he's saying, but you know.
Like, I bet you won't come in. I bet.
I bet you
I
fucking know
wish,
I got 30 rounds and you're not one of
I
them."
wish a motherfucker would.
The fuck? Oh
So
man.
that was ridiculous, though. Obviously, I mean, I think those people, a lot of those people got prosecuted here in Philly anyway. Yeah, they didn't get
Yeah, New
all
York
of them, obviously,
too.
but yeah.
Yeah, New York, a lot of people got arrested. There was like, I remember my uncle had to
Yeah,
work
but it was all catch
nonstop.
and release, and then they didn't prosecute him. They might have arrested him. They made it a fucking show. They made it a
Mm-hmm.
show and said, "Hey, yeah, we arrested these motherfuckers," but all the prosecutions were deferred. They were
Yep.
all
Yeah,
taken away.
they didn't really. Yeah, it was just for
They
show.
didn't
It
do
was
shit.
think
You
about
know
it.
how many motherfuckers be on probation right now? Come on.
Hmm. Yeah, that was horrible, bro. Come on, man. On top of everything else, I remember those
Listen,
kind of blowing
I
up ATMs and man, it was just fucking horrific.
I can say this. When they burned the police station down out in fuck was the name of that town? My memory's fucking shot these days. There's just been so much shit to actually keep up on. It's hard to even remember the fucking names. But anyways, when they back in like 2020, end of 2020, beginning of 2021, they burned one of the fucking cop shops down. Okay, actual police station. I think it was in the county that George Floyd was from. Somebody in the chat will remember what the fuck I'm talking about. But they burned the fucking police station down. Okay, they literally took over, burned the PD down, and they stood out in front of it and fucking ran it and raved. Now, I'm not going to say I condone anything like that. I would never condone anything like that. But I can empathize with an action like that versus going around and burning down independent small businesses. If you want to fight the system, I wouldn't say to and I wouldn't say not to, but do it in a way that's actually conducive to actually, get what you're looking for. Fight the people that you actually got to fight with, not just some random fucking small business owner trying to fucking put food on the table for his family. If your problem is with the government, take the fight to the government. Don't be fucking hitting random citizens. Don't be fucking bashing your neighborhood up because that don't do nothing but fucking hurt you.
That's right. You know what comes to mind? And remember that kid that they got
Kyle
almost
Rittenhouse,
got
yeah, he was a legend.
yes. Now,
I
okay.
love
Now,
Kyle.
oh, okay. So you okay.
I'm
It's
just
probably
fucking with you.
controversial, but I don't know. I think that, and I just thinking back, and I'm just saying, in my point of view,
Angel
I don't
falls
think he
on the
should.
exact opposite
I don't.
of what you
I,
feel on most
no,
topics.
no,
Just so you know.
no. I'm just saying that I don't think he should have
Very
just
much
had a
on the
gun.
opposite.
That's it. I don't think he should have been out there. That's all. I mean, I'm glad he didn't. He's not doing any time. He didn't get
He was the
prosecuted.
one person in a society of 350 million that had the balls to say, "Not my country, not my town, not today." And then, you know what? If there would have been more people that actually took initiative to protect their neighborhoods like he did, we wouldn't have had this.
Sorry, can I ask what you're talking about? That it sounds really intriguing.
Talking about Kyle Rittenhouse.
Yeah.
What's that?
The
Kyle
kid that
Rittenhouse was from Illinois. He fucking drove to Kenosha and fucking opened up shop on a fucking car dealership that was owned by his friend that was in his dad's town that was 12 or 13 minutes away from his actual home because he lived with his mother. He ended up shooting 3 people, 2 of which were child molesters? Yeah.
Ooh.
And
And
I think
all
one of
3 of
them
them were white,
actually,
by the way.
yeah.
Oh, so like he just went.
I think he was attacked.
No, he went
If
and
I'm not,
protected his
if my
neighborhood and they
memory,
attacked him.
yeah, they attacked him. Yeah, he was attacked. To be
Good for
fair,
him.
he was attacked. But
But he didn't get like time or anything. Like
no, I mean they
No,
shouldn't
it
even.
was within his legal realms to do what he did.
Awesome.
Yeah,
What
I
state
think. I
was
mean,
that?
my point of view, I don't think he should have been out there. But I'm glad he didn't get prosecuted. He's not doing time for what happened. But
I'll tell you what, anybody
yeah.
that doesn't like have any idea what actually took place that day, do me a favor, go watch the trial and observe one thing. If you observe only one thing in that entire video, observe the trigger discipline that fucking 17-year-old kid had and tell me you would have had the same trigger discipline that he had. And mind you, he suffers from massive amounts of anxiety and panic attacks, as well as PTSD from trauma through his fucking upbringing. Tell me that you would be able to fucking, actually have that amount of trigger discipline that he did on that day.
What's his name?
Hundreds of motherfuckers. His name's Kyle
Rittenhouse.
Kyle
Rittenhouse. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
He didn't murder any protesters, Saul. Get the fuck over yourself.
Note that this hilariously pathetic racist is hiding behind a fat child that murdered black people for sport. He has to live vicariously through people with slightly bigger balls than he has because he lacks the testicular fortitude to act on his fantasies. Needless to say, Jethro the racist hillbilly here is a guide on how to be wrong on quite literally everything and an indictment of the propaganda hellscape that right-wing America has inflicted on its stupidest. I will continue to enjoy his indignant tantrums in the future as his lord and master Donald Trump and his spawn lose their business and rot in prison. A fitting bookmark for this era of history.
They say a war
Hey, fuck Anita Bryant. Who the hell is she? Telling all them faggots that they can't be free. Throw that bitch in prison. Maybe then she'll see just how much them goddamn homosexuals mean to me. Because they wash your clothes, clean your cell, help you drain your hose, give you smokes, laugh at jokes, sew up all your clothes, rub your feet, beat your meat. Heaven only knows what I'd do without those homosexuals. They all read and write, fuck all night, clean your fingernails, help you dress, play your chess, lay you down some rails, be your wife, take your life in a jealous rage. Who says we don't need them homosexuals? I tell you, some are big and some are small and some are in between. Some are yellow-bellied queers and some of them are mean. Some are killers, some are thieves, and some are singers too. In fact, Anita Bryant, some act just like you. So fuck Anita Bryant. Who the hell is she? Telling all them faggots that they can't be free. Throw that bitch in prison. Maybe then she'll see just how much them goddamn homosexuals mean to me.
He's a warrior
because they wash your clothes, clean your cell, help you drain your hose,
shoot somebody, and I wouldn't use
give
any
you
vocals,
smokes,
okay?
laugh like jokes, sew up all your clothes, rub your feet, beat your meat. Heaven only knows what I'd do without those homosexuals. They all read and write, fuck all night, clean your fingernails, help you dress, play your chess, and lay you down some rails. Be your wife, take your life in a jealous rage. Who says we don't need them homosexuals? I tell you, some are big, some are small, some are in between. Some are yellow-bellied queers, and some of them are mean. Some are killers, some are thieves, some are